All right. So, my name is Will, and I'm going to do some free tarot readings today. I am testing a new setup, so please bear with me if I have any trouble. Hi, Prob. Welcome. Hi, B. Thanks for the compliment on the setup. I'm testing this out. I hope that my internet holds today. I am staying with family, and I should have a better connection where I'm currently located. The internet was out this morning, and so I thought I wasn't even going to be able to try a live stream, but it came back on. So I'm hoping it stays on and that I'm able to do some readings today, and we'll just see how we go. If my internet suddenly cuts out, I'm sorry, and I will get back on as soon as I'm realistically able to. I am having fun with my family. Thanks. Hi, Ends Human. Hi, Joao. I hope I'm not saying your name too terribly wrong. I'm trying. So, yeah, I thought I'd just pop in and do some readings and hope that the internet holds up and say hi to everybody and all that good stuff. Hi, Plamina. Welcome. Uh, so, let me set up my pinned message in the chat. And my plan today is to do 3-card, 1-question readings for folks. And we'll just kind of see how it goes. The way the camera's set up, I don't know that I can show more than like 3 cards. And at the moment, I only have 1 deck with me. So my trusty CBD Tarot de Marseille. So, okay, let's see. And I will say that last time, a couple days ago, 3 or 4 days ago, last week, I think it was, I was trying another setup and the internet cut out after an hour. And so I know there's at least one person who, like, I was in the middle of her reading and my internet cut out. So if she shows up today, I'm going to jump her to that front of the line because I feel like I let her down last time. Okay, so for those of you who would like a reading today, if you would be so kind as to put the words "please add me to the list" in bold, just or in all caps, just one time in the chat, and I see 3 of you have already done that. That's great, and that will make it easy for me to see who wants a reading. When I'm skimming through the chat, I can just look at the look for that phrase, and it'll be easy for me. So, Prob, you are first, I believe, and then B, and then Anne's Human. And if other folks would like to request a reading, feel free. So, Prob, if you'd like to tell me what your question is, I can pull some cards for you. Okay, so I'm assuming this is a love interest, like, um, is this someone you've already dated, or is this just someone more like you have a crush on? Someone you've already dated. Okay, great. So the question is, do you see Mark getting back to me regarding the message I sent him? It seems like he's ignoring me intentionally, and I feel so sad. He's a crush, actually. Okay. So, like, you have a crush on this guy, Mark, and you messaged him, and he's not getting back to you, like he's leaving you on read, and you're just wondering, is he going to respond? And then maybe if there's any other insight from the cards about why he's not responding or hasn't responded so far. Okay, we can do that. So I'll lay out 3 cards for that. And let's see what we get. Okay, so Mark, 10 cups. So this could mean that there's a lot of feelings, or that he's just really preoccupied with other relationships. Not necessarily love relationships, but just like there could be a lot of other people involved in his life. Knight of Cups. This does suggest he has a predisposition or is interested in a love relationship. This is sort of the romance court card. And 7 coins. This can often be about having to accept something that doesn't quite fit yet. It can also be about trying to decide whether something you've invested yourself in is going to pay off, or like will be worth it. Is it worth pain to do something? That can be the 7 of coins. So my first thought, is there any chance that he could be dating or be interested in dating someone else? And I say that because there's so many cups here, 10 cups as the first card, which often indicates like a long-term relationship, right? That maybe he has a crush on someone else, or is trying to get someone else to notice him. And I'm thinking that because the knight is facing to the left towards all of these cards. So that's one thing I would wonder, is maybe he's got a crush on someone else. The other thing I wonder is, it could be in the past, right? The left tends to represent the past. And so he's looking to the left, and like maybe he's got a lot of feelings about something that happened, like regarding a relationship in the past. And maybe he's not over that, and he's got a lot of feelings about it. And if that's the case, that might explain why he's not responding yet, because he's kind of still trying to get over something he went through in a relationship in the past. These 7 coins over here on the right make me think that he's not sure if he's ready to move on to another relationship. And he's wondering if it's like, can he accept that whatever happened to him with the 10 of cups is over if it's over, or isn't going to happen if it's not going to happen? Or is he trying to trying to make this relationship happen, and wondering, is it going to pay off? Is it going to happen or not? So those are my initial thoughts reading these 3 cards, which would be, to sort of sum it up, I think there might be some other person that he's thinking about, whether it's someone he's been interested in or dated in the past and isn't over it, or someone he's like still trying to pursue in the present, and he's kind of waiting to see what pans out with that. So the little bit about your question about like, is he ignoring you intentionally? I mean, the Knight of Cups is the kind of person, like a lot of the Cups court cards, who can be kind of conflict avoidant. It's someone who would rather just go around an obstacle rather than go through an obstacle. And that can mean that they're not always very direct, right? If you think about the way that water flows, right? Like water will just go around a stone or an obstacle, right? It's not going to go over it necessarily, right? If it's easier, it'll take the easiest way. That's sort of it. So is he intentionally ignoring you? I mean, sort of, but not to hurt you. Like, I don't think he's trying to hurt you. If I saw swords in here, some swords, then I might think, yeah, he's trying to hurt you. I think it's more like there's something else going on with his feelings, and he's just avoiding conflict. Now, that doesn't mean it's not hurtful. Like you are, it sounds like, sad about it, right? So feeling kind of hurt about it. But I wouldn't say that that's his main intent or goal. I think there's just some other um, emotional relationship thing going on with him that he's currently kind of preoccupied with. The other thing I would say is the Knight of Cups can just be slow to act, right? So the 4 knights, the slowest is the Knight of Coins, the next slowest is the Knight of Cups, and then the 2 fast ones are the Wands and the Swords. And so it could also mean you just have to wait a little more for the water to flow, so to speak, and that he is going to say something, but it just hasn't happened yet. Everything in this spread is slow, right? The heart moves slowly. Coins are about the earth, right? They're slow. They don't move quickly. They don't jump quickly like fire or blow quickly like the wind, like air, right? Everything here is kind of slow. So another way of reading this, or another nuance to add, might just be patient with him for the moment, right? So what do you think, Prob? Let me check the chat. And I see I'm adding Joao to the list. And hi, Ari. Welcome. I am going to bump Ari up to the next reading because in my previous live stream, my internet cut out in the middle of Ari's reading, and I apologize, Ari, for that. And in some sense, I sort of think like maybe it was meant to be, like maybe you weren't supposed to hear that answer that day, but I'm still sorry for it. And so I'm going to bump Ari up to the top of the list because I feel like that's the fair thing to do. I'm also going to add NRA00 and Shraddha. And to anyone who might be joining, welcome. My name is Will. I'm doing some free tarot readings today. I have a new setup. I'm traveling, and I hope my internet holds out. If it doesn't, I apologize. But it was out this morning, but it's back. So everyone cross your fingers that I'm able to maintain the live stream. So, Prob, do you feel like you... I mean, I guess I gave you a couple different things. One would just be wait a little more and see if he responds. He may not be super great with communication because he's kind of conflict avoidant, which doesn't mean he doesn't have feelings. He can be kind of quiet and introspective and sensitive, right? And so that might explain why he's taking longer to respond than you had hoped, right? He's very quiet, Prob says. Yeah, that tracks. He's very quiet. I I would give him a little bit of time and see what happens. There might be a lot of feelings going on that maybe have absolutely nothing even to do with you, right? And he just might need to work through them. So I'd give him a little bit of time and then like maybe in I don't know, like a week, I would maybe check in again. Okay. So, Shraddha, yes, I did add you. Yes. So, Ari, I am going to do your reading next. Prob says, I think I should just move on, haha, because I don't want to, cause any issue in his life. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. Obviously, everyone should make their own decisions, and every personality is going to deal with stuff like that differently. I wouldn't just sit around waiting. If you have made contact, if you sort of put a message out there and haven't heard back, I wouldn't just sit around waiting forever. I'd give him a little bit of time, make sure he knows that like the door is open, so to speak. But yeah, like if he's not responding to your message, then there's nothing wrong with like messaging somebody else. You know what I mean? If that's on the table. Okay, so Ari wants to know if we can ask spicy questions. That's a good question. So, if you ask the question, I will answer the question to the best of my ability, but I will always want to do it in like a way that would sort of be family friendly, since I wouldn't want my channel to get like banned or anything like that. So I have no problem with that if you don't, bearing in mind that like we're sort of strangers to one another. So like, we don't know each other um and I would want to keep it sort of like PG-13, if that makes sense. Um just because like I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube and the algorithm and all of that kind of stuff. But if you could phrase your question in a way that is sort of PG-13, then I can respond, and I think we can maybe sort of know what one another is getting at without necessarily using any explicit language, if that makes sense. It's the same reason why I have tape over some of the images on some of these cards. It's not because I have a problem with it. It's just because I don't want YouTube to get mad at me. All right. So, I'm not going to read the question out loud, but everyone can see it there who's interested in reading it. Yeah, no, I get it. I hear what you're saying. This is a fun one. I have to say this is fun for me because it's the kind of question that I never get to answer. So I'm always amazed at the way that the tarot cards can somehow answer any question. So I feel like this is two questions, but I see how they're tied together. So I'm going to pull 3 cards for this, and let's see what we've got. The sort of, I think the PG-13 version is like, how would their intimate life be together is the question. Which is a totally valid question, right? Because that's an important part of any relationship. I mean, I guess for most people, right? Not everyone. But to some extent, for most people, I'd say it's important. And for some people, it's very important, and others, it's less. And all that's great, whatever works for you. All right. So let's pull 3 questions and see what we get. All right. All right. 7 cups. And so that could go a number of different ways. 4 swords, resting, and 4 wands. Okay. So the 7 of cups, let's just start left and move right. The 7 of cups, the first thing I notice is the way that there's this one cup that's sort of isolated individually from all of the rest of the cups, right? In the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, we often read this card as there's lots of choices available. And so one thing we might think about is like, he's the kind of person who feels like there are lots of different ways of achieving pleasure. That might be one way of putting it, right? But this one in the middle makes me think a little bit like there's this one individual kind of on their own. I guess it's making me think a little bit maybe of selfishness, right? Like that there's one person in the middle who's sort of getting all the pleasure, if that makes sense. If I saw like the 8 of cups here, there'd be a couple, 2 cups in the middle, right? Like surrounded by pleasure. But seeing the one, the first thought I have is like maybe there's a little bit of what's the word? Well, I mean, I said selfishness a minute ago, but like being interested primarily in their own pleasure might be another way to put it. But there's more here. So 4 swords, this makes me think of resting, right? Like needing to put up some restrictions in order for things to flourish or to grow. And so I'm trying to think of how to say this in like family friendly ways, right? But it's like there might need to be like a routine, a specific routine, like before the, so to speak, flower can grow, certain restrictions may need to be met, right? Like maybe we need, I don't know, like for a guy, I guess it could be any number of things, but like maybe he just needs to feel really confident, or maybe he needs to feel like well rested, or I get the sense that it's not going to be just like ready to go anytime, if that makes sense, right? Like there might be certain qualifications, conditions that might need to be filled before there can be intimacy. Shall we put it like that? But so these 2 cards are sort of like, well, this might be a thing and that might be a thing. But this card at the end of the string is very positive, very happy. 4 wands together. That means there's like steady, stable passion, right? We could think about, I'm trying to think of how to phrase it. Whatever passion or pleasure you're hoping to get, I think he would be able to rise to the challenge, so to speak, right? I think of 4s, right? 4 is like a square. It's like the number of stability and reaching. It's like everyone's satisfied when there's 4 of something, right? Now, that said, I think what's great about that is it suggests sort of moderation, because the other problem you can get with 4s is everyone's satisfied, but nobody has too much. And so one problem that could happen, I could see, maybe, would be eventually kind of needing to spice things up more because somebody might get a little bit bored, right? And I would think of that too because we do have two fours. We've got the four swords and the four of wands, and so there's a sense of like stability, structure, like it's always the same, right? As opposed to seeing like I don't know, 8 or 9 or 10 wands, right? Like where it's like, wow, that's a lot and it's over the top and it actually might be too much passion, right? From time to time. And like after a while, you might just sort of want it to settle down because you're like, okay, I've had enough. Thank you. But the fours is more like, no, it'll be steady. It will be satisfying. It won't feel like too much. I guess another way to put it, to sort of answer your first question, Ari, would be I guess what I'm thinking is maybe kind of average, right? Which isn't necessarily bad, but I think of fours as being like totally good, right? But not, you know, not shocking, for example, right? So yeah, 7 of cups makes me think one person is in the middle. And I guess for that, like that one in the middle, I suppose could be either partner. So I'm going to revise what I originally said about the 7 of cups and say it may not just be selfishness. It might be a fixation on making sure the other person is satisfied, right? And so I guess that could go either way, but I feel like it's going to be one or the other. Like either he is going to expect to be kind of the center of attention, or he is going to insist that his partner is kind of at the center of attention, right? If that makes sense. The 4 of swords makes me think again of needing rest or a break. Like it may not be an every night kind of a deal. And the 4 of wands, I think, means steady, satisfying, stable, regular, and perfectly useful, I guess might be one way to put it. So I mean, we probably won't be able to find out in the future without like saying too many adult details. Assuming that you even get an answer to this question, in real life. But those are my initial thoughts with these 3 cards that have popped up here, Ari. Thanks for the question. All right, let me take a sip of water and take a look at the chat. Yeah, the 4 of wands as you being happy, I think that makes sense. It's like 4 is like everything's satisfying. 5 would be it destabilizes things. Like maybe it's a little uncomfortable, right? Um so and like well, I mean we could go through all of the numbers, I suppose. Um but yeah, I think 4 is like great. I wouldn't I I I wouldn't I mean, I guess everybody's different, right? And everybody wants something specific, but um this card is often referred to as a card of celebration, right? Like having something to celebrate, usually with another person. And so, I mean, I wouldn't run away from that. Like, I think that could be very fulfilling, right? Okay, so next on my list, I believe, is B. And let's see, I'm just going to scroll up and see who else maybe has been asked to be added to the list. Jasmine Romero, I see you. All right, Jasmine Romero. Okay. So I've got here's the list, everybody, so far, and I'm typing it out so I can't show it to you on camera because it's on my laptop. But B is next, and then I have Anne's Human, and then Joao, and then NR00, followed by Shraddha and Jasmine Romero. And so you will need to wait, obviously, for your turn because I'm doing first come, first serve. I hope I haven't missed anyone who's requested. Make sure if you're asking to be added to the list that you do, as I've asked in the video description and the pinned chat, just put it in all caps. Please add me to the list. Just ask one time, and I should be able to see it. If you've done that and I've missed you, let me know, and I will get you in there. So B, if you'd like to ask your question, you are next. And I know that you're all probably doing different things in your life, and maybe you're running errands or going around working or whatever you're doing. But if you are on the list and I call your name and you're not here, I might not be able to read for you. No hard feelings, of course, if that happens, because if you're like number 5 on the list, you might have to wait over an hour before I get to you. And by then, maybe you just can't wait. And I totally get that. But I could always read for you then another day if indeed that were to happen. Okay, so B is asking, what does this week have in store for me? Cool. That's great. So we'll pull 3 cards and we'll just see what might be happening with B in the upcoming week, approximately the next 7 days. All right. Okay. Let's see what we've got for B coming up the next 7 days or so. All right, 7 wands. So you might be kind of busy. There could be some stress, but you probably will have the upper hand in it. Like if you've got a lot of things on your to-do list, you might feel a little overwhelmed, but you will be able to probably, we'll see what these cards say, check those items off of your list and like get things done, right? So it might feel like it's a little overwhelming, but there's great reason to hope that you'll be able to make progress, even though there's a bit of a struggle. So 2 cups, if you are in a relationship, then I would think that there's a deepening of the relationship, that you're going on a date or spending some good time with your partner and, getting to know each other and growing together emotionally, that kind of thing. If you are single, this can be sort of feeling a deeper connection to yourself, right? I almost would think of this as like a mirror. And so you're like getting closer to yourself. But it can also mean like maybe you would meet someone, right? This card, the 2 of Cups, can be the card of a new friendship or love interest. or maybe like reconnecting with an old friend, but it definitely means feeling like an emotional connection that is deep and important and um, happy, right? Often with another person, maybe just a deeper connection too with yourself or with a part of yourself that maybe you don't feel super connected to right at the moment. Let's see what the third card. Oh, the sun. So this does make me think of a friendship now, um, because I think of these two people figures on the sun card usually as friends, and it's like one of them is sort of guiding the other one. This figure on the right sort of has their hand out like they're trying to show the figure on the left like, here's the path forward, here's the next step that you need to take. And they're out in the sun and things are happy and it's warm, and um, they can be very open with one another. They're not like wearing armor or lots of clothing. And so they can be vulnerable with one another, but they feel safe to do that. And they're there's this brick wall behind, suggesting like there's a safe space for them, right? Like an enclosed safe space. No one's going to hurt them. Everything's going to be okay. Um, I would read this as from left to right. You are taking care of business. Whether it's work or study or whatever tasks or projects you're currently taking on, you are motivated and ambitious, and you're doing stuff right. And it might feel a little bit like there's too much, but you have the upper hand and you're getting things done. Along the way, I would expect a deepening relationship with someone, probably a friend, although it could be a love interest. I really say friend because of the sun card. Had I seen, like, for example, the lovers card here, or maybe even another cups card, I might be more inclined to say a love interest. But I really am thinking friends here. So, like, maybe you're going to meet up with an old friend, or maybe it's a friend you are currently friendly with, so to speak, and maybe you'll do something to deepen the relationship, go out to dinner or coffee, or just talk, whatever it might be. And I think that will, I mean, that's beautiful, right? Like, whatever is stressing you out is going to be, I think, far outweighed by the deepening emotional connection with this other person, right? And nice weather this week, as B says. Yeah, like, maybe the two of you, I don't know, meet up in the park and read tarot cards or something like that, right? Yeah, busy with work and then relaxing on the weekend with someone. Exactly. Yes, that's exactly how I would read this. And like when I'd said earlier that this can mean a deeper connection with yourself, it's still possible, but seeing it next to the sun card really does make me think it's another person, right? Like these two cups are two people, I think. Maybe text a friend, especially later this week. Like if you're feeling particularly stressed from all the stuff you're having to do and get done, text a friend, right? And, or maybe just, I don't know, go for a walk in the park and see if you meet a friend. That's a possibility too, right? Cool, B. That sounds fun. And I think that you'll um, feel satisfied. And like, if you're anything like me, after I've checked a bunch of things off of my list, I am more easily able to like enjoy myself and have a good time because I feel like, well, I've done my work. And so now I can relax and now I can have fun. B says, haha, funny you say that because I was with an old friend yesterday reading tarot cards. Yeah, great. I love it. All right, cool, B. That sounds like a good week upcoming for you. So, looking at my list, Anne's Human is the next person I have on my list. You're welcome, B. I hope it's a great week. I think it will be. And I see Anne's Human, you've already posted your question up there. I see it. So Anne's Human's question is, will I go on a date with Zoya or Z this month, or will Shiuli Ors contact me in a few weeks? So, just to make sure I'm understanding the question, it's sort of two questions. So, I'm going to just go for the first one. Just to be fair to everyone, I'm just going to do one question per person today, especially because if my internet goes out, I don't want to have like answered multiple questions for one person and then someone else never got a reading. And so I'm going to go after the question, will you go on a date with Zoya this month? And is it right that Zoya, you said Zoya or Z? Is that just are those two different people, or are we talking about one person? One person. Got it. Okay. That's what I thought. So, is Anne's Human going to go out on a date with Z within the next month? So, like between now and the first week of July. Okay. So, we will pull 3 cards to answer that question. And welcome to anyone who might just be joining us. My name's Will, and I'm doing some free live tarot readings today. If you're interested, check out the video description or the pinned chat message for how to request a reading. I'm doing them first come, first serve, and we're just doing one question per person today. And I'm answering that question with 3 cards. If I really need to, I may pull additional cards, but I'm trying to stick to 3 when at all possible. All right, so let's pull 3 questions for Anne's Human. Will they go out on a date with Z in the next month or so? And Joao, yes, you are next. Followed by NR00. Okay, Zoya. A date with Zoya. Okay, so we're starting with the Popess, also known as the High Priestess. I think this is you, probably, Anne's Human. Followed by 6 Wands. Followed by the Queen of Coins. Interesting. Let me think about this for a moment. The Popess is sitting down with a book, looking to the left, which might be the past, and kind of waiting. She's very patient. She's intelligent, and she's very knowledgeable. She knows how to keep a secret. The 6 of Wands is about collaborating, working together with someone, like doing something with someone. And so that could indicate a date, right? Like the 2 sets of wands sort of crossing one another as though they're sort of getting together. This card can also mean a victory of some kind. It can mean doing something in public. That again makes me think date, right? This is like people going out in public together, other people see them. That sounds like a date to me. The Queen of Coins here is interesting because it's almost like you're sitting and waiting to see, is this date gonna happen, right? And then it does, I think, indeed happen. You go out together in public and feel very victorious and satisfied about that, right? Because it's something you'd hoped for and you'd wanted to happen. But then seeing the Queen of Coins here, the first thing it makes me think is of you spending money, right? Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like maybe you're splitting the check or something like that. It also makes me think, though, if it's not about money, of like investing yourself in this experience, right? Not necessarily just in the person, because I mean, I'm really getting the sense that these two cards are you, like you in one point in time and then you in another later point in time. And they're both looking to the left, so I think they're the same. And let me just think about it for a moment and take a sip of water. It's quite warm where I am, as an aside. So the short answer to your question is, I think yes. I think the answer is yes, right? We've got one person who's sort of waiting for it to happen, waiting to see if indeed the two of you are going to get together. This card I'm going to say is representing yes, that it is going to happen. Going out publicly, working together, doing something that's like that you're passionate about, that's maybe a little impulsive, that's exciting, that kind of stuff with wands here. And also that's harmonious with the number 6, right? We can think of things that are in harmony together. And then this Queen of Coins person makes me think either paying or investing oneself, right? Like maybe she's investing herself. She's very invested in the experience, would be another way of putting it. Like the Queen of Coins is someone who over time has figured out what really matters to them, like what they really want, what is important, what is valuable in life. And she's ready to invest herself in those kinds of experiences, right? But she knows what she wants and she also knows what she doesn't want, right? And so she's here with her coin as though to say, I want to do this. This is meaningful. This is important to me. I've learned what I like and what I don't like. And I'm ready to sort of spend this coin on this 6 of Wands experience, this exciting, harmonious, public, going out together date experience. So yeah, I think there's a good chance that you will be going out on a date with this person. I will say we can read this Pope-esque card either as representing you, where you're like waiting for the experience to happen. It could also mean it's the other person and they might just be kind of slow to speak up. Like if you've asked them out, the Pope-esque is someone who tends to keep their mouth closed, right? And so it might take a moment to sort of get an answer. I guess that's the other thing that I would add onto that. But I think there's reason to expect that you will be going out with this person because at the center of the spread, we've got the 6 of Wands. And with wands, I always think fun. I think excitement. I think doing something stimulating, right? It may be a kind of impulsive, like you didn't even know you were going to go out that night or the next night or something. And suddenly you hear back like, hey, what about tomorrow? Right. And then it's go from there. So yeah, I'm going to say yes is the answer to the question. So how does that sound, Anshuman? Do you think that you can expect to go out. You're welcome. You're very welcome. I hope you have a lot of fun together. And I think you will, right? I think you will, seeing these 6 wands together. Yeah, let me know. Let me know if it comes true, if it happens. Okay, so next on my list is Joao. And I'll just shuffle the cards here. And so just so that everybody knows where we're at, I've got Joao and then in our 00, followed by Shraddha and Jasmine Romero. That is my current list. Let me scroll through here and see if anyone else has requested to be added. It seems like my internet is holding up okay. It's showing me 2 out of 3 little bar things, so okay. Okay, so I'm scrolling through. I don't think anyone else has requested to be added to the list, so I think my list is up to date. Joao's question, you'd asked about Lady Gaga last time, and I think this is a different question. Will Lady Gaga perform at the 2025 MTV VMAs live from UBS Arena or live from her concert at Madison Square Garden? There's been rumors that her performance would be pre-recorded 2 days before the VMAs. Okay. If I remember correctly, that is a new question. So if it was the same question, I'd say that I wouldn't want to reread on the same question 3 or 4 days after. But I think it's a different question if I'm remembering correctly, so I'm okay to read for that question. I do think I need to lay out 2 sets of 3 cards to answer the question. So I will do that in this instance because it's like an either or question, right? So we're going to do 3 cards for one possibility and 3 cards for the other possibility. And so the first 3 cards will be that she's performing live, and the second 3 cards will be that it will be pre-recorded. Okay? Does that sound good? And then we'll see. We'll read each set of cards separately and see if we can get a clear answer. So the first 3 cards would be the possibility of performing live, and the second 3 would be that it's pre-recorded. All right. So these, let's see. This is live performance This is pre-recorded performance. So, live performance. 9 cups. Okay, so 9 cups means it's very satisfactory. People are happy. Everything falls into place. Everything finds its place. Everything's organized. 6 wands, as I said, because this card came up just a moment ago. This is about being publicly recognized for doing something noteworthy, good, right? Like a performance, right? And so this makes me think it could be live. The 3 swords could indicate that there's some, it could be that there's some little conflict, but there's victory over it. Like there's a problem, but they're able to overcome it. Right? Like these 2 curved swords get in the way, but this big sword in the middle is able to push through them anyways. And so there's success despite the obstacle. Let's see what these cards say. This would be pre-recording. King of Coins. So that's like they want it to be secure. They want it to be stable. Someone, I don't think this is Lady Gaga, the King of Coins. I mean, I guess it could be, but seems like so much more. She doesn't seem like an earth person to me. She's more, I guess I think of wands with her. I think of excitement and passion and fire and performance and all of that. And I don't think of coins. So this makes me think more like her manager, right? Or like some executive who's worried about money. I don't think of her as someone who's ever worried about money, even if she's thinking about it, right? I wouldn't. And honestly, I will say I know very little about Lady Gaga. So maybe I'm making some assumptions here that are not totally spot on. What else do we have? 2 swords. So putting up a boundary or making a difficult decision, and 3 coins. This would be producing something that's kind of small or mediocre or doesn't like it's a good first start, but it's not great. It would have to grow into something bigger later. So reading these 2 sets of cards together, it makes me think that she's going to perform live because more people are going to be happy with that decision, will be pleased. More people will be pleased with that decision to perform live and public, where there's like an actual interaction between her and the audience, even though there are some tangles with that idea, as I think you've sort of posted in the chat, that there's like, it sounds like she's double booked or something. And so that is an obstacle that would need to be overcome before this would work out. But the 3 of swords suggests that it would be something that they could indeed overcome. Over here, King of Coins, someone in a sort of administration or management or the sort of bean counter money person is looking at this and saying, we really should do it this way. But if you see, there are no cups over here and there are no wands over here. So there's nothing fulfilling and there's nothing performative and exciting happening over here. And so it's like, it's a money deal. It's like, or maybe not money, but practical. There's a practical reason why this guy is saying it needs to be pre-recorded, but I think Lady Gaga, is saying, no way, we need to do it live, right? And so this guy's trying to Right now, I think it's leaning to that it's gonna be live because these cards feel stronger, I guess, to me than these cards. Assuming that I'm making closely correct assumptions about what Lady Gaga would want. I assume that she would prefer live, and and assuming that she gets to make that decision, I think it would be. I do think there is the small chance that because of practical or financial considerations, someone is going to sort of insist that even though it wouldn't be as fulfilling or exciting or good a show, that it would need to be this other way instead. But I feel like right now this is losing out over everything over here. Right. So the answer to your question, I would say, is I think she's going to do it live. So that's my best take on it. That she would do whatever she could if she can get through the obstacles that are in the way, that doing it live would be more satisfying and fulfilling. She could sort of, in the moment, collaborate, feed off of the energy of the audience, and that these little, well, maybe not little, these boundaries that are being put up for practical or financial considerations are real and do exist, but don't seem to be as strong as the more artistic considerations, if that makes sense. Okay, let me check the chat. Welcome to anyone who might be joining us. My name is Will, and I'm doing some free live tarot readings. Next on my list is NR00. And let me see if anyone else has asked to be added to the list. If anyone here is not on the list and would like to be added, check out the video description or the pinned chat message for information about how to do that. And NR00, if you haven't posted your question, oh, you did. I see that you have already posted, so I will read your question. Joao, you're very welcome. That was fun because I don't usually read for celebrities, so it's I will tell you, like, the reason I'm doing this at all, meaning the live streaming of free tarot readings, is because number one, I really love tarot and I'm super into it and I just enjoy it, and I do it for myself and I do it for friends and family members. But when I read for like strangers, I just get questions that I would never get otherwise. Like, I've answered several questions, even just today, that I would never ask probably, or maybe I would, but I haven't asked. And so it's just really fun for me to get to answer questions that are different and see what the cards can provide in the way of an answer for them. So thanks for that question. I enjoyed reading that. So the question we have coming up is for NRA00. And the question is, does Henry still love me so much? And what's the outcome of our relationship? So that's sort of two questions. So I'm going to read for the first question. And if we also get anything that could tell us about the outcome of the relationship, we can certainly add that in as well. But when I read tarot, I like to have a single specific question. And so I'm going to pull 3 cards. And the question we're asking is, does Henry still love NRA00? Okay. And yes, Shraddha, you are next after NRA00. And then the person after that would be Jasmine Romero. Okay, so we are asking the question, does Henry still love NRA00? And I hope you're here, NRA00. Ah, you are. Yes. All right. Yeah, so I am doing first come, first serve, and these are free readings, right? So nobody's paying. So you do have to be patient and wait for your turn to get a reading. If you're in a hurry, you can always find someone who you can pay to get a reading quicker than you might be able to get one here from me. So NRA00, does Henry still love you? We'll pull 3 cards to answer that question. Oh, okay. My deck was upside down. All right. All right. So we've got 6 cups, followed by 6 swords, followed by 3 cups, 6 cups is the card that represents a long-term relationship. Well, it's one of several cards that can represent a long-term relationship. So it's about continuity, being on a path towards happiness together. I think that the 6 cups are arranged sort of like a little pathway. Like you can imagine someone sort of taking steps along the pathway, and cups are about happiness and fulfillment and relationships and all of this. And so it's like you're walking towards happiness, walking forward into happiness. The 6 of Cups, though, can also refer to memories of the past, the way things used to be, nostalgia, things like that. And especially when I see this card at the left side of a spread in the past position, I do tend to lean more on that meaning of it. And so we might think here that like there was a feeling of there being a long-term relationship, but it might be something that's more in the past as opposed to something coming up in the future, if that makes sense. With the 6 of Swords, we can think of needing to change or adapt or compromise in order to move forward. And so, with that, I would think here of the way that the 6 swords are sort of surrounding this lovely flower that is trying to grow up in the middle of them. And the flower can survive, but the swords also protect it, right, from these other little flowers that might sort of be trying to get in its way. One thing also I would add with this 6 of Swords is that it can refer to there being some emotional baggage. The idea that there could be some resentment or hard feelings because one person feels maybe like they've had to compromise or change or give something up or do something that they maybe didn't really want to do, and they might act like they're fine about it, but there's still some emotional baggage there, and they're maybe not totally fine about it even if they say that they are, right? With the 3 of Cups, we get the sense of emotional growth or the growth of a relationship. Here, I think of 2 people, right, in a relationship together, and they are building or creating some new third great, beautiful, wonderful, happy thing together, right? And so I guess the answer to your question, the question was, does Henry still love you? I would answer yes, right? Because we're seeing a lot of cups here. I would also say that there's a sense that the relationship has changed over time. It's not what it used to be when it started, or maybe it isn't what either or both of you thought it was going to be. And either or both of you have had to make changes and adapt or concede things or do something different than you thought you were going to do. It's maybe not what you thought it was going to be, right? Like you thought it was going to be all cups, and it turns out there's 6 swords instead of 6 cups, right? And so there's some thorniness that has to be worked through, and some challenges and obstacles that have to be overcome, and that's a challenge, right? But there's some hope here that if you are able to work together, you could continue to build or grow the relationship. I would think that probably there has been some discord because we do end the spread with fewer cards than we started with, right? Sorry, with fewer cups than we started with, right? So we start with 6, and that's like the path to happiness, right? But then we're ending with 3, which is like you need to rebuild that path to happiness again, right? Despite all of these swords that are sort of in the way. So the quick answer to the question is yes, I think there's still love. The more elaborate version of the question is, or answer is, I think there's a lot of emotional work to be done between you in order to rebuild and sort of get you back up to 6 cups again, right? Because it looks like it's sort of come down to 3, right? But there's still something there. It's not like we're seeing nothing but swords and coins, where it might be just all arguing and practicality and no actual feeling. There is feeling, but it's been challenged and it's had to adapt, and it's not maybe as strong as it was, but that doesn't mean it's gone, right? So, NRA 00, does that sort of answer your question? And I'll just check the chat here and see if I've missed anything. And welcome to anyone who might be joining. My name's Will, and I'm doing some free live tarot readings. And check the video description or the pinned message for information. You're very welcome, NRA 00. I think there is still love there. And if you can navigate these swords, it could grow again. So next on my list, I have Shraddha. Let's see. NRA 00 says, so the outcome is based on how well we work it out, right? Yes, the outcome, it's saying like there's still love. And if the two of you can work together to grow emotionally and move past any emotional baggage that either of you might have because you've had to change your life or adapt to something, or you had to give something up for the relationship and maybe one of you resents that. And like, it's that kind of stuff where if you can work through those things together, there is hope that you will be able to grow the relationship again. Yes. So Shraddha asks, what are M's intentions with me in the near future? Okay, so Shraddha, could you tell me, is this a crush or an ex, or what? Just give me a little more context about your relationship with M. You're very welcome, NRA00. I wish you the best. Shraddha says casual dating. Okay, got it. All right, so this is someone that you are dating casually. You're probably not exclusive, but you're not just a crush either. Like you're dating. You both know that you have feelings for each other. It's not just like someone you make eyes at, across the room or something. Like you've actually gone out with this person, but you're wondering, like, in the near future, let's call it a month or so, in about a month, what are their feelings, intentions towards you? All right, so we'll pull 3 cards and see what we get. All right. Okay, we're starting with 5 wands. And so this can mean if things have been stagnant, if there's been a kind of stalemate, if things have been the same, the 5 would indicate something changing, right? That if things have been sort of steadily or even boring, right? The 5 indicates spicing things up a bit. It could mean a little bit of conflict, but it can also mean sort of passion. Okay, we've got an Ace of Swords. And so this makes me think someone making a decision. Him, in fact, M, making a decision, right? Like that's going to change things, having a new idea, using his mind to decide. And then Knight of Swords. Interesting that we have swords. Well, the Knight of Swords is fast and can even be reckless, too fast. And they're the kind of person... I'm just thinking. They're the kind of person who sort of once they set their mind to something, they just really dive into it. And that can be wonderful if they have made the right decision. It can also be problematic if they've made the wrong decision, because they will just keep doing it. They will just keep going forward in their new path because they sort of don't want to ever admit that they could have been wrong about something. And so this makes me think that he's getting ready to switch things up, to change things to some extent, right? Like if however things have been, I think they are going to change, right? The 4 of wands would indicate sort of being at a stalemate. Could mean something that you're celebrating, but it's more like things are staying the way that they are. The 5 means that gets disrupted. There's an overcoming of the way things used to be, and something new is coming in, and it has to do with him making a decision. That's the Ace of Swords, and he's going to act based on that decision. Now, we're talking about a love interest. We're talking about a relationship context. And so in that context, we always want to see cups to indicate a deep emotional connection. Maybe we want to see the wands because that can also mean passion, right? And that's usually something nice to have in a relationship. With swords, it's about communication. And so it almost makes me feel like he's going to tell you something, like he's deciding something and he's going to say something about this new action, this new thing he's going to do. And okay, I guess I've kind of been talking around what I wanted to, what I need to say. Swords can mean communication, but they can also be something that hurts us, right? Like we can think about what you do with a sword. You use a sword to attack, to defend, to fight. And so they can just be ideas, but they can also mean conflict. And so, like I see you're asking, does it mean he will end things? And I guess I'm not sure enough. And actually, I'm going to pull more cards because I need to know what is his decision. So let's pull 3 more cards because I just don't like to give ambiguous answers. So I'm going to pull 3 more cards and we're going to ask, what is he going to decide that's going to disrupt things and then he's going to take action on? So he decides it, but he also acts. It's not like he decides it and then just ignores it. He's going to decide something and then he's going to do something about that decision. And so let's pull 3 cards to clarify what is that decision that he is going to be making. Okay, 7 swords. Okay. Okay, so whenever I see the magician, this is the magician. Whenever I see the magician come up, there's lots of things I think, but one of the things I think, especially in a relationship question, would be trickiness. Like you're not maybe seeing everything that's happening. And the 7 of swords can mean deception. Doesn't always mean that. But so I guess like I don't like to tell people things that I don't think they want to hear, and I don't think you want to hear this. And so I guess that's why I'm having trouble sort of saying it. But it seems like maybe there are going to be other people involved. Like if you're casually dating, I think this might mean that he's going to be casually dating other people too. And the reason I say that is it's going to disrupt a little bit of what's currently going on with the 2 of you, because he's going to make a decision and act on it to do something that might be a little shady, or maybe just weird. In a more optimistic way, it would be weird. But here I'm thinking next to the magician, it's like tricky, a little tricky, like maybe dating someone else. And even though you're not exclusive, maybe just like not telling you about it. And then the 5 of cups makes me think like this is him in the middle and there's like all these other people that are around him, as opposed to like a 2 of cups where it's like 2 people and the relationship is deepening and the 2 people are growing closer. The 5 makes me think like there's different links with lots of different people, or not lots of different people, but with more than one person, right? So I don't know that he's going to end things, but if you're holding out for him to say like, let's be exclusive, I only want to date you, I don't think that's coming either. And I would be a little just keeping my eyes open that he's not tricking you at all. That like, this magician, I think of like some people read the magician as like they're powerful and they manifest the thing they want in the world, and all of that can be true, but I also think like the magician does tricks, right? A magician uses smoke and mirrors to make things appear differently than they actually are in reality. And that can be fun and we can enjoy that if we know that that's what's happening. But if they're tricking us and we don't know that we're being tricked, then it's deceptive and you want to be careful about getting hurt, right? So um, I would definitely um, I would definitely assume going forward with this person that they don't probably intend to be actively dating you. And if you're fine with that for now, then that's great. There's nothing wrong with that intrinsically. But if you are holding out because you really want this person to make a commitment and say, I really only want to be with you, I don't think that that is his plan in the near future. So I did put just a 1 month. Right, I'm pretty sure when I started this, I said we're talking about 1 month because you said near future. So, things might be different the month after that, like in August or something. But in the near future, I would expect him to still be seeing other people, and maybe not telling you about it, which maybe the both of you are fine with. If you're not fine with it, then I would be not what you want to hear. But that's kind of the vibe that I would get from these cards. Okay, and I'm just going to scroll through the list because I think Starry, I can add you to the list after Jasmine Romero, and then Power Victory, I can add you after Starry. And then I can add Andrea and Drift King. Okay, and then I'm probably going to, at least for right now, I'm going to close the list because I think that that's going to. Usually I can do 10 or 12 readings in a live stream before I get tired, and this would put me at like 12. So let me just put a note in the chat. Okay. So, Shraddha, you're very welcome. Yeah, I feel like the cards are telling you today, like, don't lose hope. Be aware of your relationship with this person and don't sort of get your hopes up too much that he's going to be wanting to make a monogamous commitment super soon, right? So, Jasmine Romero, if you are here, I can read for you. Hey, Jasmine, welcome. If you could just post your question, I will shuffle and then pull some cards. Okay, so Jasmine asks, who is my karmic person and what zodiac sign are they? What lessons haven't I learned in my life yet? Okay, so there's sort of two questions there. So I'm going to focus just on that first one. And then if anything about the second question comes out too, we can certainly add that. But it sounds like you're asking like who's your karmic person, like your kind of soulmate or twin flame kind of person. And you're wondering what zodiac sign they might be. So what I will do is pull three cards asking them to describe your karmic person, and we'll see what we get. If we get a card from the major arcana, we can associate that, probably most of them do, with a zodiac sign. And if we get a court card, then we can associate that with a zodiac sign as well. If we don't get either of those, we'll sort of have to play it by ear. But we'll see what we get. And at the very least, we'll be able to give you a description of like what this person is like. And hopefully we can give you a zodiac sign to look out for as well. Okay. Welcome to anyone who might be joining. I'm doing some free live tarot readings. I do have the list currently closed because I've got enough people that I'll be able to read for today on it. But if you'd like me to read for you in the future, consider subscribing to the channel so that you can see when I am live streaming. All right, we're going to pull three cards for Jasmine Romero, and these three cards are going to describe their karmic person, what their personality is like, and hopefully we'll get some information about a zodiac sign as well. Okay, we're starting with 3 wands, 5 swords, and 4 coins. Interesting. So 3 wands. This is someone who takes their own direction in life. So think about someone who maybe their parents or society or their school or whatever has sort of laid out a path for them and said, you are going to do this with your life. Here's like, you could either choose this path or you could choose that path. Like you could be a doctor or you could be a lawyer, right? And those are your options, right? This person isn't going to take either of those options. This is someone who goes their own way, right? Each of these paths are there for them and they're like, nope, I'm going this way forward on my own. I'm going to find a new direction. I'm not going to just follow the path that has been pre-decided for me, that's been pre-established for me. And they are probably going to end up having to wait through a good portion of their probably young adulthood to figure out whether that paid off and was the right decision or not, right? And so it can be, that could be a bit of a challenge, right? Like if there was something that everyone told them they were supposed to do and they decided to do something else altogether, until that pays off, they might be a little I don't know that I want to say unstable, but it might take them a minute to sort of get their bearings and get themselves established in life, right? With the 5 of swords, this is someone who's got a sharp mind. They're smart, they're intelligent, and they're really good at sort of breaking through old ideas in order to think differently. So this is probably someone who's um, they're not sort of intellectually boring, if that makes sense. This is someone who wants to have lively discussions, conversations, debates, maybe even arguments about it could just be like theoretical, intellectual kind of things, like a book they read or a news article that they read or politics, that kind of thing. And they want to talk about that kind of stuff. And so they probably want someone who's a good, like, sort of intellectual sparring partner, right? Like someone who is an intellectual equal and who can sort of keep up with them, right? And doesn't just think what everybody else thinks, right? This is someone who prides themselves on having new, different thoughts that are, well, interesting, I guess would be a kind of good way to put it, right? There's someone who is going to be financially stable. They also might be a little conservative with money. I don't want to say stingy, but they're the sort of person who, like, if they're going to spend money, they want to make sure that they've really found a good deal and that they're not wasting their money and that they've also been able to put some money away in savings. And so they have enough money, right? They have plenty of money, but they have enough money because they're careful, very careful about how they spend their money, right? And so that can be great or that can be difficult. Like I'm a Taurus, and so this makes me feel very comfortable, right? Like when I see this card representing a person, I think, oh, good, right? Like they're careful with money. They're not just gonna, spend money all the time or impulsively. And so with their actions, I think there's someone who can be like go against the grain and be a little impulsive, and they want excitement and they want stimulation. With their thoughts, they want to have breakthroughs. They want to do it differently. They want to think differently than other people and have interesting conversations and read interesting books and new ideas and all of that. But in their practical life, they probably seem kind of ordinary and conservative and not like the kind of person who would take their own path in life and have really sort of revolutionary or interestingly radical kind of ideas in their practical everyday kind of life. I think they're just seem very kind of ordinary, right? And careful with money, and not just money. When I see coins, I obviously think about money, but it's not just money. It's with their time. They're careful. It's with their energy. They're careful with making plans, with the kind of results that they want to get in life. They're conservative. They're careful. Because that's what keeps everything in their life stable, right? Could they be a cheapskate? They could be. Someone else could look at this person, gosh, never spend any money. And yeah, um, I think it's a question of angles. Like one person might look at this and say, oh, they're really responsible and stable. And somebody else might look at it and say, they're a penny pincher. They never spend any money, and that's, so it's like it sort of depends on different people are going to see this different ways. I'm as I said, I'm a Taurus, and so for me it's like, oh, this means security. This means stability. Other people are going to look at this and say, oh, they never want to have any fun. They never want to go out to dinner. They never want to go on vacation. They want to just hoard all their money and have lots of savings, right? And then someone else will look at that and say, but having lots of savings is great because then if you lose your job or something, then everything's okay, right? So it can sort of go both ways. So yeah, I think on the outside they seem really normal, and I guess that's kind of a loaded word, but they seem kind of ordinary, right? But in their intellect, in their mind, they're very much like on the cutting edge of they're interested in politics, they're interested in books, they're interested in ideas, right? And not just ordinary ideas, but like ideas that push the limits of things, right? And in their actions and in their career, they probably are not just doing what they're told. They're finding their own way. They want to do something that they feel is personally like relevant, that they're passionate about, right? Like if somebody says you need to be a doctor or a lawyer and they're not passionate about that, they're not going to do it, right? They're going to find some other thing to be passionate about. So you did ask about their zodiac sign, and none of the cards that came up here would definitively uh, give us a zodiac sign, unfortunately. This could be a fire sign, this could be an air sign, this could be an earth sign. And so the only thing we don't have is it would be cups, which would be a water sign. Uh, but I wouldn't predict a person's zodiac sign based on one of the minor arcana cards, and that's what we've got here is just all minor arcana. So I guess what I'll do, I'm trying to decide what the best thing to do is. Um, I'm gonna pull one more card. And I'm just gonna say, tell us one more thing about this person, and let's pull one more card and see if that gives us anything. Okay. Well, it still is not gonna tell us a zodiac sign. It is coins. And so that's Earth again. And so this, like, I'm tempted to say it could be an Earth sign, right? So Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus, right? Um, but beyond that, I couldn't be any more specific. Um, this card would also make me think they're good at working with others. They're good at like collaborating with others. So in their career, I would think that it's not a totally solitary thing, whatever it is that they're doing in their daily life, but they're like working with other people, right? Like collaborating in practical ways with other people. Okay. Okay, so let me grab a sip of water. And I think the next person on my list is Starry. So Starry, if you are here. And Jasmine, I see you've posted another question. Will I meet them in person or will I see them at their face? I'm only going to stick to just one question per person today, just because of time constraints. And I want to make sure I get to the other people on my list. So um, I'm just going to answer the one question, but in a future time, I would be happy to pull additional cards or just do a new reading for you. Let's see. So my list is Starry next, and then Power Victory, and then Andrea or Andrea, and then Drift King. So do we have Starry, Power Victory, Andrea, or Drift King here? Andrea or Andrea is here. Okay, fantastic. So let me shuffle and we'll do Andrea's next. And so if you'd like to post your question, I will pull some cards for you. Okay. All right. So the question is, I'm a Cancer and my person Brian is an Aquarius. What is the outcome between us in the future? Okay. So sounds like this is someone you're dating, like you're currently in a long-term relationship and you're wondering going forward, what's going to happen between the two of you? Like, is this a long term thing, or is something going to disrupt it, or what's coming up for you and Brian? So I'll pull 3 cards. And for a question like this, since we are talking about the future, I tend to think in terms of forecasts rather than predictions. And so things can change and people's feelings can change and ideas can change and the weather can change and all of that. So we're thinking about like, given the way things stand now, what's likely to come up for the two of you? And then I like to put a time limit on this. And the shorter the time limit, I think the more accurate it can be. So should we say like 6 months? I would go up to a year at the very most. Yes, shuffling is important. I agree. And usually I like to riffle shuffle and then bridge them. I can't bridge these because I put tape on certain select images on the cards, and for that reason, they will not bridge. But with my other decks, the ones that will do it, I bridge them. So, Andrea, does 6 months sound cool to you? Yeah, that's fine. Cool. All right. So we're going to ask about Andrea and Brian and their relationship for about the next 6 months. All right. Let's see what we get. Okay, we've got the Magician, 7 Cups, and the Page of Wands. Okay. So it's good that we're seeing 7 Cups in the middle here. Let's start there. And then we'll talk about either of these figures on the side. So cups are about happiness, fulfillment, being nourished, being satisfied, all of that good stuff. And when we're doing a relationship reading, we want to see those. So we're glad to see those here. The 7 of Cups, I think, tends to be about someone who is sort of figuring out how to make things work in a social situation or a relationship situation when they're kind of unique and everybody has sort of individual traits and quirks and things that make them special. And this sort of person is in the middle. If you think of each of the cups as representing like a person, it's sort of like it sticks out a little bit, right? It's like there's something about this person that isn't totally smoothly integrated into the relationship. And maybe that's great, right? But maybe it can also mean they sort of don't feel as comfortable. And it depends on the individual, right? Like some people like to stand out and don't mind if they aren't totally smoothly integrated into things. Other people really need that. And so this makes me think of someone feeling a little bit like like they're standing out. I don't want to say rejected, but like if I saw like the 8 of cups, for example, then we'd have like 2 cups in the middle and it would be like the partnership. But with the 1 cup, it's like this one figure is sort of sticking out a little bit. The magician, as I said for a reading, maybe 15 minutes ago, I don't remember when it was. The magician can mean someone who's getting all the resources that they need to do their thing, whatever their thing might be, to manifest their ideas into the world. But the magician can also mean someone's being a little bit tricky, right? And so when I see the magician, I think of tricks, right? Magicians do tricks, and tricks can be lots of fun. Tricks can entertain us if we know that they're tricks. But whenever I see the magician come up in a relationship spread, I always want to say, like, just make sure you're not getting tricked, right? Which it doesn't mean that you are, but it would mean, like, is there anything being kind of hidden under the table, right? Is there anything down there that you don't know about? And that would be the kind of question that I might say, like, do you feel super confident that everything's on the up and up and above board, so to speak? Or if there's anything where you're like, I don't know if I trust this person, right? Then this card would say, like, maybe pay some attention to that, right? The Page of Wands, this is someone who is kind of an explorer and who maybe is trying out lots of different things in life because they're trying to figure out what their thing is. And also can be someone who is sort of maybe having trouble growing up or maturing, right? The pages in general, valet in this deck, but the pages in general represent people who still have some growing up to do, some learning to do, some achieving to do, some advancing to do. They're sort of starting out on something, but they haven't necessarily achieved something yet. And it can represent a person of any age. You know, they tend to be younger people, but that's not necessarily true, right? Like, a page could represent like maybe a middle-aged person who started a new career, and so they feel young because they're sort of starting this new career that they haven't done before, and they're showing up as a page. But it can also be someone who's actually young, like a young adult kind of person who's just trying to figure out a career or their path forward in life, or what they're going to be passionate about, what they're going to do, what they're going to build in their life. I do feel like this page in particular is someone who might have kind of a Peter Pan personality, in the sense of like, I'll never grow up, that kind of thing. And so that can be a lot of fun, right? Like the Page of Wands can be a very, very good time, but depending on your personality and the specific context you find yourself in, that may not be what you want, right? Like maybe what you want is stability and structure and money and stuff like that, right? And this card is more like, let's explore ourselves and figure out what we're going to do with our lives, and let's have fun while we're doing that. And so I think that's a really important stage that everyone needs to go through. And as long as it's a stage, I think it's great. The problem I think can happen is if we're talking about someone who's been saying that for 15 years and still hasn't figured it out, then maybe we have a problem, right? And like, are they ever going to figure it out? Or are they going to be kind of a Peter Pan, never grow up forever, right? And so you would know better than I whether this is endearing and fun or becoming a problem, right? So, Andrea, what do you think at the moment? Like, what does any of that resonate? I guess is the question I'm asking. And then while we're waiting for Andrea, I'll just say, so the people I have on my list are Starry, Power Victory, and Drift King. And so those are the last three readings that I'm going to do today because I'm just about at the 2 hour mark here. And after 10 or 12 readings, my energy needs a break. And so those are the next three I'll do. Starry, Power Victory, and Drift King. And while I'm waiting for Andrea, I'm just having another thought, and so I'll go ahead and share it. Like I can see. I mean, I didn't really answer the question. The question was, what is the outcome between us in the future, right? And so what I'm seeing here is someone who I think is Brian, although I guess it could be Andrea too. But I'm like sort of getting the sense that it's Brian, where they're they're doing their hustle, they're figuring things out, they're working maybe a job of some kind and trying to make ends meet and manifest things in the world. And I get the feeling they're young because of the page here, and so if I'm wrong about that, say so. If they're not actually young, I get the feeling they might be kind of immature still. And so they might not be 100%, like, I wouldn't say they're openly deceiving anyone, but they might feel like sometimes they have to not say everything that's true. And I think it's someone who's really invested. It's very important for this person to feel unique and special, right? That's the 7 of Cups. I would think here it's like someone who they want to stand out. They don't want to be just like everybody else. When they walk into a room, they want people to say, "Oh, you're different than everybody else." And that also gives me a sense of maybe someone who's has some growing up still left to do. And then with the Page of Wands, I think of someone who's open to exploring new things, doing different things, trying new things, finding their way, and maybe not ready quite yet to grow up. And so I think if this person is describing Brian, I feel like right now, this person would have trouble maintaining a long term, like really long term relationship. And if I'm totally off base, Andrea, let me know. But if I sort of get the sense that that would be a challenge for them right now, and that they might have some growing up, some maturing that they would need to do before they would be able to make that kind of commitment and follow through on it. Because if they're still sort of exploring, then where are their explorations going to take them? Right. And if they don't know yet, then making a long term relationship commitment can be hard to do. Right. So I did put a timer on this of 6 months. And so, you know, maybe 6 months from now, they're not a Page of Wands anymore and they have learned something, or maybe they're more secure in their career, or maybe they are more secure in themselves and they don't need to feel a sense of being unique and special as much as they did before because they've sort of grown out of that. And then maybe they are in a better place to make a long term commitment and follow through on that commitment. So like I'd never say never, right? But in the next 6 months, I feel like this is someone who's still trying to figure things out for themselves. And for that reason, it could be a little rocky, although it could also be, as I said before, a whole lot of fun, right? Sort of exploring the world and life and everything with the Page of Wands. So I'm not hearing from Andrea. I don't know if Andrea had to go or not, but I'm going to see if anyone else from the list is here. That would be Starry, Power Victory, and Drift King in that order. If Starry, Power Victory, or Drift King are here, then I will read for you next. Hello, Lamis Misa. I'm just wrapping up a live stream today. My name's Will, and I've been doing some readings here. I'm just over 2 hours. I did close the list today because after about 10 or 12 readings, I start to get tired and I'm approaching that. So if you'd like to ask me a question in the future, in a future live stream, I'd be happy to um, read for you, Lamis. If you would care to subscribe to the channel, you'll be able to see more easily when I am doing live streams. So, Drift King, I see your question, and so I'm going to do your reading next. And let's see, the question is, my dad is a Scorpio. His name is Gerhardt. I want to know, when will I see him this year? Okay, so we have a timing question. When will Drift King see his dad, Gerhardt, this year? So for a timing question like this, what I'll do is break the question up or break the timing up into, let's do 3-month increments. So I'll lay 3 cards down that represent like June, July, August, and we'll see if there's a clear indication of the two of you seeing one another in those 3 months. And if there is, then we're done. And if there's not, we'll pull 3 more cards, and those would be September, October, November. And we'll repeat that process until we get a set of 3 cards that seem to indicate you seeing your father. So let me give these a good shuffle, and then we will pull some cards. All right, so we want to know when in about the next year Drift King will see their father. Okay, so these first 3 cards are going to represent approximately June, July, and August of this year, 2025. Okay. All right, so the Hanged One makes me think of waiting around, right? You're waiting, but it's not happening yet. You're waiting for there to be a breakthrough, right? So that you can see one another, because there's all of this potential, and but there's still a sense that it's potential as opposed to something that can be materially acted upon. So this makes me think not in the next 3 months. So not June, July, August. So let's do September, October, November. Okay. So here we've got 3 people. And the way that I read court cards, I read them regardless of gender. So let's see. We've got the Queen of Wands, we've got the King of Wands, and we've got the Queen of Swords. And so seeing the King and Queen of Wands there, that makes me think of a couple, right? Because they're from the same suit, like the same house, so to speak. And it's like they're meeting with this third person who's, I don't want to say not of their house, but who's like maybe like a third party. So this tells me like a meeting of some kind, and I'm trying to figure out if I can map the like your father and you onto these characters or court cards, and I'm not 100% sure that I can. Let's see. You said, let me see. I'm just thinking as I look at these cards. I mean, okay, here's what I'm getting. It's like I don't know what your relationship is with your father. When I see the Queen of Swords, I think of someone who has made or is making some judgments and who has some things to say that might be kind of true, but also could be hurtful. Not because they're trying necessarily to be hurtful, but sometimes the truth hurts, right? And so my answer to your question would be if you feel like when you see him again, that you might, that like it might be, it could be an uncomfortable or prickly kind of, or even painful situation, then I'm inclined to think that these three cards are representing that. And so then that would be, we said August, September, October, right? So like before the end of the year, but not within the next 3 months, but like end of summer, but out into the fall. So I guess I'd want to ask Drift King, do you think that like that sounds like it could describe your situation where when the two of you are meeting, it's almost like I'm thinking this is you have a sword to communicate something, and then he's got the baton, almost like something to defend with if he would have any reason to feel defensive. And then I'm not sure who this Queen of Wands is, if this is like someone that he is currently with, like dating, I guess I'd say, or married to or something, or who this other Wands person might be, sort of sitting in the background, maybe not present at the meeting, but like I feel like she'd want to hear about what happened afterwards, and she would ask him about it. Okay, and I'm just seeing, hi Andrea. Andrea's phone died. No worries. It happens to me too. In fact, my live stream died last time I was doing it a few days ago. So no worries. Andrea says it resonates. I feel like he's not ready to settle down, but I am. We're in our early 20s. Okay, yeah. If he's in his early 20s, he's still growing up. He's not gonna be stable in the next 6 months, right? Like, which isn't necessarily bad, right? Like when you're in your early 20s, that's great. Explore, figure it out, have fun, right? Just like try lots of things because it's easier to do that when you're young, right? So, but if you're waiting for like long-term, permanent, stable commitment, it's going to take a little while, I would just say. So Drift King says, yes, my dad is trying to find me. He's German and am German. I live in Manchester. Okay. So, I mean, yeah, I would say before the end of 2025, but not in the next 3 months. It's interesting that you say he's trying to find you, because wands I think of as the suit of like travel, journeying. And so if he's showing up here as the King of Wands, it's like he's had to journey. And then when he finds you, it's like you've got a sword, which could mean you have something to communicate, right? Something to tell him. It could also mean, like, if you're not super close to one another, that you might have to like work through some conflict before the closeness can sort of happen. Because for example, like I don't like he's not or neither of you are represented as like the King of Cups, for example, where it's like someone who's really good with their emotions and well tuned to other people's feelings and things like that. And here it's more like, we've got the sword and the wand, and so it's more like, just like boundaries, that kind of thing. Trying to maybe work through the boundaries. So I think there's hope that could happen not super soon. And why don't we just, for the heck of it, do 3 more months to see if we get anything else. The moon and force. Yeah, so I think the meeting happens August, September, October, but then here moon could mean some feelings that have to be worked through, like feelings that are buried coming up to the surface, but eventually finding some stability with those feelings, like some emotional stability and strength. So if you can be strong and work through these emotions that are boiling up from under the surface, there's reason to think that there would be some like a stable relationship that could develop from that. Okay, so I hope that is what happens, and I hope that you have a meeting and that it's what you'd expected, and that it's fulfilling and all good things. So do we have Starry or Power Victory here? To anyone who might be joining us, my name is Will, and I've been doing some free live tarot readings today. I am winding down the live stream for today. I've been going for 2 hours, and so I'm ready for a break. If you wanted a reading and I wasn't able to read for you, please consider subscribing to the channel, because that's the easiest way for you to know when I'm live streaming. Drift King, you're very welcome. I hope it works out. Okay, so I'm not hearing from Starry or Power Victory, and those were the last 2 people on my list. I'll give them just another moment. If they're here, Starry or Power Victory, if you're here, I will still do a reading for you. Otherwise, I'm going to end the live stream today. Thank you so much to everyone who was here and who asked me questions and let me read for them. And I wish you all the best. I hope you all have a wonderful day or afternoon or evening, wherever you are. Be well, be with your friends and your family. Practice your tarot card reading if you read cards too. And I think I'll go ahead and end it there. And Starry and Power Victory, if you're watching this subsequently and would like me to read for you in the future, well, I'd be happy to do that. But I got to do first come, first serve. And if you're not here, then I got to skip over you and move on to the next person. So I'll end it there. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you next time. Bye.